Alright, so somebody on YouTube had mentioned that when you tip these washers over to change the belt, that you should put a piece of plywood in between the cabinet front here and the table. It totally makes sense. I don't have a piece of plywood, but I do have a pretty thick, kind of like a bath type towel thingy. Don't need to get too serious about it, just gotta hold it in place. And then we're gonna get a big moving pad to put down on the floor. Well, here is the brains of the operation. And so what we have here is the water pump. This is the sand dirt trap. This is the transmission and motor. Everything is in really good condition. The hoses are kind of hard, but still pretty supple. They're okay. One person, a commenter on YouTube, had asked some questions about the transmission oil. And yes, it does leak a little transmission oil, but it's totally acceptable. This is likely just weeping a little bit. There's not enough to be of any concern. When you start seeing the oil splattering rather against the side of the cabinet, that's generally an indication of a problem. And if it's been leaking for a while, you'll have big grease deposits. This has not been leaking for very long. It looks like the gaskets are just kind of sort of losing a little bit of their seal, and it doesn't help when you lean these machines on their sides. So, you know, I'm not concerned about it. That's, you know, basically this, you know, that's all the oil. There's not very much, so I'm not too worried about it. But we're gonna go ahead and change the belt. I don't know where to start. I'm gonna have to look at my manual because I don't remember how to change a belt on this thing, even though I just did one a few weeks ago. But I basically just watched my friend Bob do it, but I'm gonna try and do this completely solo today. So I know that I have to undo these 3 transmission bolts and bring the transmission out, and I have to remove the 3 brackets. I have to disconnect the water pump, and I have to unloosen the motor. And after that, I kind of don't remember. I know that there's some spacer that I have to remove and some spring that I have to undo. But I'm going to just, you know, err on the side of caution, and I'm going to refer to the internets and hopefully figure out what it is that I need to do. While I'm down here, I'm going to address this rust here. Now, it kind of looks bad, but it's totally not. The edges are still very much so intact. If you kind of take a step back and look at the whole machine, it's really not that much and nothing to be concerned about. Okay, so we have the washer completely upside down, and this is going to be really helpful, I think, to changing this belt. I have like excellent access to everything. I could kind of creep around the back and loosen the belt up, and that's the first thing I'm going to do because I know all these brackets have to come off. So I will take those off first, then I'll loosen the motor pulley, and then we'll just kind of take the next steps from there. Okay, so I think I got a good start. So the first step is going to be to loosen up the motor. That's a 9/16 bolt. We get that from the back access panel. At that point, we're going to remove the belt from all the pulleys, and then we're going to remove the 3 support bar guys right here, here, and here. Then we'll read on, and then it says something about advancing the transmission to the spin part, which I don't know. I'll figure that part out. I'll do a little close-up on that so we kind of know what we're doing here. Okay, so we'll get started. Okay, so per the instructions, it says, while manually lifting up the plunger, rotate the pulley the large pulley on the right hand side, which is this guy, until spin cam bar advances to the spin position as shown in figure 1. So this is figure 1, and it's not really saying a whole lot to me. Okay, I think I got it. So the spin cam needs to be enough to, I guess, relieve the pressure on that clutch plate or whatever. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wing it, and we'll learn it together, I suppose. Remove gear case mounting bolt, which has the spacer. Okay, so the spacer's not coming out, so I'm probably gonna have to loosen these other transmission bolts to relieve the pressure. Now it says 7 turns, so now, oh yeah, the spacer comes out really nice now, so we'll put that to the side. The gear case can now be pulled up and down so that the belt can be slipped out between the top of the clutch shaft and the clutch yoke, and then through the area where the spacer was removed. Reinstall by positioning the new belt on the 4 pulleys and then begin to reassemble. It says, note, a 5/16 steel ball is used with the T bearing on later models. Also, in some models, the clutch shaft adjusting nut is replaced with washers. In both cases, check to make sure these parts are in place before reassembling the gear case. I don't know where this mythical steel ball is supposed to be, but, well, we'll find out, I guess. Okay, so this is our new belt. Beautiful. The part number is 95405. I'll put a link in my description if you guys want to buy it from me. I really appreciate it. But otherwise, if you already have one, that's fine too. I'm going to see if I could get a better angle. All you guys are seeing is the top of the transmission. I'm going to try and get on the back of the machine and see if I can get a better look. Okay, so this is a terrible angle. I'm sorry, there's really no room for work. But I think what they're trying to say in their not so precise way, and I think I remember watching this on a different channel, we're gonna have to remove this spring, and this should drop this clutch plate down, and then we should be able to remove this belt. So what you have to do is you have to lift up on the transmission. After you take these 2 washers out, once you lift on the transmission, it gives you, where am I? There we go. It gives you just enough space to squeeze the belt out of here, and then you go up and get it out of the spacer, and then you're free for the most part. I think we're out, maybe we're out, I don't know. And then the purpose of removing the pump is so that you can kind of pass the belt out. And then it says, in the beginning it said move the belt or the motor as far to the left as you can to get past the spin cam bar, which is probably a good idea. I'm gonna have to loosen this bolt real quick. So yeah, you move the motor to the left a little bit, and then you should be able to get the belt, pass it through. Oh, and there you have it. Wow, what a job. So this belt, let's see if it was actually bad or not. This belt is totally fine. Well, it's getting a new one anyways, because I didn't go this far for nothing. Man, working on these appliances, really, like us new appliance repair people are totally spoiled. New appliances are way easier to work on than this. I mean, there's like most of my service calls, I don't even have to take my tool bag out to diagnose what's wrong with it. This one, it's like, forget about it. Okay, so we're gonna pass the belt through the pump again, and then we'll get the pump kind of back in place a little bit, and then pass it through the motor, and then through the spacer first, And then we're going to lift the transmission up again and pass the belt through the spacer, or the clutch yoke thingy. Okay, I think we got it. That's not so bad, I guess. It just, your first time doing this, it's like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, it's the instructions are very vague. They kind of just like make a lot of assumptions. Like, you know, when you give the instruction manual with a belt, the assumption is that the person installing it is not an authorized servicer or whatever and hasn't done this a billion times before. So you think they'd give a little bit more plain English, but evidently not. So, okay. So the next part is we're going to put our spacers back in, these little washers. And to do that, we got to lift on the transmission again, and Joe's just going to set them in the shaft, and then we're going to put our spring back in. That's cool. All right, we're done with that, at least. And just make sure that the belt is everywhere it needs to be. Now we're going to tighten all of our things. We're going to put our spacer back in. Now we're going to rope the belt through. We're going to put it on the motor. And that's it. It's on there. It's on the motor pulley. And so all we have to do is tighten it, get everything nice, and then we'll put our brackets back on, and I think we're done. I guess it wasn't really that bad now that I look at it. Huh, did I just change a belt by myself? I guess I did. As much as I'd love to leave this washer like this, I'm terribly nervous that the oil in the transmission is going to start weeping out of the breather hole. So I'm going to tip it back up, and it's getting kind of late and I'm tired. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this up tomorrow. I'll let it sit up, and then tomorrow I'll tip it back over again and, you know, kind of fix it up. Ugh. It's hot today, guys. It's like 70 something degrees. And my shop is very warm. I never told you guys this, but I'm a hobbyist Bitcoin miner. And so I have several miners in the back of my shop. And if any of you know anything about Bitcoin miners, they produce a significant amount of heat. And I have 7 of them back there. And they basically heated the entire back half of my building, which is about 3,000 square feet, 3,000 uninsulated square feet. And all winter, my service room was a balmy 75 degrees. I have not run my furnace at all, except for a couple of really, really cold days that we had kind of 0-degree temperatures. But the side effect of that is that now that it's 70 degrees outside, my miners are still running, and it is literally like almost 85 degrees in here. So I got to figure out a more permanent solution with that. So, but that's another video for another time. So big props to all of you old school appliance repair guys. This is the first time I got my hands greasy in a long time. Well, since the last belt drive, really. So tomorrow we're going to do a pretty thorough cleaning. We're going to do some rust prep. I'm going to get all of this rust knocked down. I'm going to try and work this little wrinkle out of this cabinet, and just kind of put some grease where it needs to go, and that'll be that. And do some just more cleaning up. That's what this washer needs. It's just, you know, cleaning up, tidying. So cool.